For hours, they have been carrying coral sand to decorate our huts. Hey, Dim Dim, they suddenly shout. Hey, white man, want to see some sexy dancing? Ironically, the little boy they encourage in his provocative dance is named Moses, and Moses is just 7 years old. The Trobrianders did not make it easy for the missionaries. The Christian image of paradise does not appeal to an island people who regard sex as the most natural and monogamy as the most unnatural thing in the world. A reportage from the Stone Age on the gardeners of the South Seas and life in a world without progress. A world where little girls turn into witches, where women determine a man's standing, where everything is shared, even in matters of love, where children are happy and without aggression, where no one is afraid of the future.
This time.
And where the magicians know when the rain is going to come.
I think at 12 o'clock, huh? Kanagala, let's start up. Bogay past Villa 1. I think.
Beneath us, the Pacific, the Solomon Sea. Behind the freight sits Linus Digimrina, doctor of ethnology. His reading material? The Krakow years of the Polish anthropologist Boryslaw Malinowski. Kiriwina, the largest of the Trobriand Islands, 1 hour by plane from the mainland of Papua New Guinea. Malinowski studied the natives here from 1915 to 1918. With his book, The Sexual Life of Savages in Northwest Melanesia, he made them famous.
If I'm in Port Moresby and doing my work, for example, time is very important and I feel the pressure almost every now and again. Whereas I go to my village, I feel more relaxed. I relate to my own people because I know everyone there basically. And I think it's more home.
By transporting goods, we can earn a little money, Linus had told us on the phone, but not enough to maintain the truck. So we brought them tires. Tires for paradise. Kiriwina, 40 kilometers long, 27,000 inhabitants, 40 degrees Celsius, hot, humid, and sticky.
Hey! Whoa! Woo!
Joyful and hospitable. Even 80 years ago, that is how Malinowski described the people of the Trobriands. The village is Okaiboma, Linus's home. They are proud of him here. He is one of them still, but different. He knows the world outside, and he is the son of Digimrina, who owns half the land the village is built on. Linus adores his father. It was he who sent Linus to the university, to prepare for the future. You have to see what is beyond the horizon, his father had told him.
Okay.
Thomas.
Thomas. Ano to?
This is Toby.
Oh.
Toby.
Ano to?
The strangers are welcome, Linus translates. Okai Boma is happy to welcome you. The white skin fascinates. You are a dim, they tell our cameraman, a white stranger.
O B Y. Toby.
To welcome guests and build huts for them is an important part of the Trobriand culture. We are interested in being good friends with all people, says Linus, and also to exchange ideas and goods. They build in harmony with nature, without saw or nail. Everything comes from the jungle. And in just 6 hours, our Okai Boma Beach Hotel is ready. They place a lot of hope in Linus. He is the mediator between the village and the outside world. The Dimdims are not accustomed to heat, he says. Control your curiosity and don't disturb them during their work. Help wherever you can. Bring them drinking water and guard their huts. The easy hospitality of these people belies what is written about them. Indifferent, hostile towards strangers, greedy, thieving. This found even in travel guides about the Trobriands. Ethnologists must also be held responsible for this misinformation. Linus criticizes his own kind.
The unfortunate thing about the anthropology studies is that they relate almost always, to the models they have developed or they want to experiment upon. And of course, these models need to be adjusted. Not many people were successful in adjusting the models to suit what they find. The kind of people I really enjoy visiting the island are the ones who come with a relaxed mind, open to anything. I think they see a lot more, learn a lot more.
In the middle of the night, he knocked at the door. His life is not defined by hours and minutes. To him, the strangers are clock people. For us, it is time to sleep. But for him, the moonlight is advantageous. His hut has neither electricity nor refrigerator. But he knows when the bait fish come to the edge of the reef. Daybreak. Rise and shine. With its 700 inhabitants, Okai Boma is one of the largest villages on the island. In the family clans, women wield enormous influence, in that status, prestige, and position are passed on by the mother's line, not the father's. Consequently, a man standing in the community depends on the status of his wife's clan. In scientific terms, this is called a matrilineal society.
The one thing about this so-called primitive life, it's simplicity. And simplicity, to me, is the basics of existence. In that, I mean, you have everything
within your reach, enough to live, to have a good life and enjoy things without having the need to stress yourself in order to achieve luxuries and all that stuff. Yeah. I enjoyed it very much.
Each family cultivates its own gardens. The fields spell survival for the village. Fences protect this precious treasure from the hungry pigs. Nature is our friend, the gardeners of the South Seas tell us. But at the same time, it is the enemy. Fire makes the soil fertile, but it devours forest and bush. And fields must now be burned more often. In the past, the soil lay fallow for 7 years. Today, it is down to 4 years. The population is growing, and Okaiboma needs more cultivated land for more yams, taro, and sweet potatoes. Laboring with your hands under the blazing sun, drudgery, daily life, a blessing and a curse rolled into one. When the gardens die, the village perishes. We must never tire of caring for our gardens. They are our past and our future. The gardens provide what we need to survive: food and community. Community as survival. The principle is embodied in the yam storehouses. They stand visible to all in the village. The status symbols of each clan. Their ornamentation, size, and contents advertise the wealth and status of their owners. But surprisingly, impressively, what the individual takes from his garden is not his alone. Food is distributed according to a complex chain of obligation, stretching between families, relatives, and the village at large. Sharing engenders social equality. Festivals are marked by a warm generosity, which smooths out social differences and promotes harmony in the village. Each family sows and reaps by itself. But during festivities and in times of hardship, everyone shares with everyone. All are fed. The village elders make sure that everything is done fairly. As the names are called, each group picks up its share. Lucky Okaiboma, a life without envy. The social romantics of the '68 generation called this behavior proto-communism, overlooking one small important fact: the existence of private property. Nobody in Okaiboma has any illusions. Hangmen have mercy. Take away the rope. These happy-go-lucky realists sing during this festival skit. moral of this tale? Pleas and cries for mercy fall on deaf ears.
Money!
Only money speaks loud enough. Gardening and fishing feed everybody. But the world of money beyond the horizon remains ever beyond reach. Even though the waters of the Trobriands are among the most abundant in the world in marine life, the locals do not profit from that. Their fishing methods yield barely enough to live on. Ratu is a fisherman and artist. But nature must provide for his family of 17. Ratu owns just one hook, for the big fish in the deep waters. But this time a shark breaks his line. Bad luck for Ratu. He has no money for a new hook. Almost no one here has any money. The woodcarvers are among the few lucky ones. Their craft is popular with the white buyers on the mainland and the few tourists who visit the island. The average annual income on Kiriwina is the equivalent of $2 US. Turtle bowls inlaid with mother of pearl, 10 days of work, fetch $10, the price of 3 fishing hooks. The hunger for a bit of cash is clear in the salesmen who crowd in front of our door every day. Tragically, even culturally important artifacts, like this stone axe, are being sold. In former times, they were regarded as holy talismans and were hidden beneath the hut. We need the money, the man says. We want to buy pigs. Our presents to the village have been pressed into service. Thanks to the new tires, the village's only real source of income is finally rolling again. With its truck, Okaiboma runs a kind of bus and transport service. They were given this rickety piece of progress by a parliament member who wanted the people of Okaiboma to vote for him. In vain. Today is market day in Losuya, the port and main village of the island. There is diesel fuel for the island's 17 vehicles, kerosene for lamps, but mainly betel nuts. None can be found on Kiriwina anymore, so they now have to be imported from the mainland. The few betel palms on the island are continually harvested or lie on private land, and the demand is enormous. Betel nuts are a kind of drug and are used by almost everyone in the Trobriands. The nut is peeled and chewed. A pinch of lime made from powdered coral helps provide a bigger kick, but lime eats up the teeth and gums, the price one must pay for a little flight from reality.
How many betel nuts do you need per day? How many pieces?
Maybe 10.
10?
Yeah.
So let's say it's 1 kina a day you need.
Yeah.
So where does the money come from?
From the traders or something like that.
In the market hall, the selection of products is not wide. Who does not have much cannot sell much. And because everyone's offerings are the same, nobody is buying. Highlighting the dilemma of an island economy that is not yet an economy. The first wire fences have gone up in the Garden of Eden, not to keep out pigs, but to keep out people, the burglars who haunt the fears of the white store owners. All in all, though, business is flourishing. Marcia explains why.
Sometimes we get the money from our parents who work in atmosphere. So we write a letter to them and they send us money. It's hard. It's very difficult. If some people are working here and they'll get money, it's possible to buy things.
The 3 trade stores in Losuya, says an Australian owner, have a turnover of $2 million per year. 1.3 million comes from the 6,000 Trobrianders living off island. Relatives, like Marcia's parents and brothers, who labor at menial jobs in Port Moresby, the capital of Papua New Guinea.
$3.99.
It all works out. The only question is, for whom? One thing is certain, the people of Okaiboma are left standing in the rain. Most do not have relatives in Port Moresby. They return to their village without money and without fishhooks. Some describe our past as the darkness and progress in the future as a bright light. I don't agree. In the past, there was order and mutual respect. Everyone was fed and everyone was content. Then came the money, and now everyone steals from his neighbor. There is violence and even murder. In the past, no one would have dared. The law was sacred and the fear of punishment great. What is the value of progress if it means losing respect for one's neighbor? That is what I ask myself when I think about tomorrow. They harvest coral at the edge of the reef, solving problems together, working hand in hand. In Okaiboma, the children are taught by life itself. The village school may offer math and English classes, but it is parents and siblings who provide the more traditional education. Like the cooking of coral to turn it into lime powder.
They teach us how to make gardens, and they teach us how to dance.
How to dance?
Yes.
They teach us how to cut the cabins.
Carvings. They teach us things like that.
And fishing?
Fishing.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
You like?
Yes.
And how do you like your traditional day when you put on your traditional clothes?
Good feeling. Good feeling.
Yeah?
Yes.
A good feeling to look like that. Like parents and grandparents. A good feeling because it fills the youngsters with pride. In that sense, they would not even need the government-mandated Culture Day, which is held in schools in Papua New Guinea once a week. In Okaiboma, nobody needs to be forced to take part in the old rites and traditions. Walugwa, 9 years old, likes the oil on her skin and the yellow leaves of the riga plant, which symbolize happiness, but also sometimes war. But won't Walugwa ever wish to bury the old ways and fight monsters on a Game Boy?
I mean, we've had something like 100 years of missionization. And you have anthropology starting in 1914 and onwards, or even you can drag it back to 1910. They predicted the demise of this culture that hasn't been lived up to. And I must say that as a Trobriand, I'm very proud of my people. And I can see in the foreseeable future that my culture will just die like that.
Some things on the island actually are just as one would imagine them in a South Sea paradise. But the keepers of these treasures must be the Trobrianders themselves. Everybody with a place and an assignment. Growing towards the new, but rooted in the old.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, that's what you're going to do with this now.
Math is the favorite subject for most of them. The older ones also learn about the peacekeeping mission in the former Yugoslavia. And in the afternoon, building a canoe. In the Trobrianders, God presented the missionaries a nut, which they have yet to crack. In the neighboring village of Wagaluma, Edward has died. Half of Okaiboma has come to say farewell to this respected elder and to accompany him on his way to meet Topireta, god of the underworld. Superstition and ritual have survived all the efforts of the missionaries. Still, the Catholic and Protestant churches are part of everyday life here. They provide hospitals, schools, and water pumps, and that is generally appreciated. But Christianity, Linus explains, is still only the icing on the cake of tradition.
Questo è stato proprio per me uno shock.
What a shock it was for me, even though I was prepared, having spent 13 years in Brazil working with the Indians. But I had never experienced the kind of rejection that the people here demonstrated towards us missionaries. Our superiors, though, having understood the situation, told us not to worry. You've arrived in a society with a secular tradition thousands of years old, they told us. Therefore, we missionaries can't pretend to be able to change everything in a few years. Father Joseph's blessing is an accepted part of their funeral ceremony. But when the ritual mourning begins, they want to be alone with the spirits. For then comes the hour of the Mulukwausi, the flying witches, who sail down from the palm trees to eat up the dead man's intestines and to send off his soul. Rough terrain indeed for Christian doctrine. I still remember a Methodist, a missionary from the Fiji Islands. When he came, the people thought they would be shot if they didn't obey him and pray. Imagine, says Linus, this boy is a Trobriander before the missionaries. Back then, we believed that a child would die if his mother had intercourse while breastfeeding. Superstitious rot, the missionaries told us. And thus we lost our method of natural birth control, because our women breastfeed for up to 3 years. Okaiboma has 700 inhabitants. Fully 300 of them are children. But to place the blame for this situation solely on the shoulders of the missionaries would not do the Trobriand Islanders justice. Statistics say that the American male sleeps with an average of 3 women in his life. Linus says that the average Trobriand male sleeps with 3 women in one night during the harvest festivities. leading naturally to the question of family planning with this happy-go-lucky people. Here in the Okaiboma Church, a social worker from the mainland fights to be heard above the roar of heavy rain on a tin roof.
So, the string up like this, and then use it up, and then squeeze it, and then pull it up like this.
To explain about the pill and the way to use a condom. But will the men use them, we ask?
If somebody is using condom, they make fun. They make fun of it because we are not used to this.
White is the color of fertility. Condoms do not seem to fit in a society that has no problems with nudity and erotic dancing. A society which regards sexual pleasure as the most natural and marital fidelity as the most unnatural thing in the world. A society where parents do not only teach dancing, but build love houses for their children, the better for them to experience freely the bright sides of life. Children of love, the big ones, the small ones, and the experts.
The bachelor is to build a house in order to bring the girl to his house and have sex. And to going on the sexual, in Kiriwina, the girls and boys have very high sexual desires. So as soon as they move out of school, they are so motivated to have sex. And as soon as they have sex, they are going to get married in a very young age to work in the garden. This is the reason why Kiriwina people get married when they are very young. When she's single, she has all the decision to make. She can go to any girl she wants, but only when she gets married, she has to sleep with her husband only, not anybody else. But when the harvest time comes, she has to go to any man that she likes.
In Kituvi, in the center of the island, the drummers summon everyone to the dance. The islanders' sense of community helps them resist the encroaches of the modern world. Their mythology says that in the beginning, all the Trobriand tribes climbed out of the grottos of Labai at the north end of Kiriwina. They are very proud of these common roots, as proud as they are of their gardening skills. In the past, the drums signaled war, but today there is a festival in Kituvi. Food is provided as a welcoming gift, an offering of friendship and appreciation, regardless of tribal or village differences. Their exuberant zest for life makes the Trobrianders masters of conflict management. Dancing lessens aggression, by no means a discovery of modern psychology. Feelings are expressed spontaneously and openly, as when a child dances especially well. This applies also to free love, which is actively encouraged by the mothers, who sprinkle baby powder on their daughters to make them even more attractive. In Okaiboma, an old diver's tank calls the elders' council to assembly. There has been a fight about this shell necklace, the headman notes, and in order to protect the peace of the village, the conflict must be resolved as soon as possible. He called the council meeting, he says, because his daughter stole the valuable necklace, and the entire family is outraged. The daughter denies this. She says that her deceased mother explicitly left the necklace to her. The council, made up of the local priest, Linus's elder brother, and the head of the youth group, does not know what to do. He wants a decision as soon as possible because he wants to sell the necklace to get some money. The necklace is not the problem, says Linus's brother. Families are supposed to solve these things among themselves. The council decides to keep the necklace until the parties involved reach an agreement. Pragmatism. That would drive Western lawyers crazy. My time has come, Linus's father said. I feel the chill of death.
Message urgent message.
Linus sends an urgent message to Kitava. Please send a boat. My father wants to visit you. On the way, the old man dons his finest ornaments, as had his predecessors through the centuries, for a last visit to his Kula partners on Kitava. Kula, an ancient mysterious ritual which binds the men and islands of the Trobriand group forever together, through the exchange of treasured objects, shell necklaces and arm rings, which cannot be bought, but only received and passed on as gifts. Kula, a club of men, a circle of friendship and community. Really important Kula traders remain silent, letting others speak and hurl insults for them. Look at this shabby hut. And you call yourself a worthy partner for Digimarina of Okaiboma? The beauty of this necklace will shame you. Kula trading is a public spectacle and is often the high point of the year. For every piece you pass on to a partner, he owes you one of equal value. This helps to establish lifelong relationships and a cultural sense of community between islands and tribes. Very soon I will begin my journey to Tuma, the island of the dead, the old man explains to his Kula partners. I have come to say goodbye. My eldest son will take my place. Don't worry, the friend answers. We welcome your son heartily, and with our help, your reputation as a great Kula trader will be passed on to him. Negotiations done, they admire the pieces, comparable to a Rembrandt, a Mauritius, but free from considerations of monetary value. Farewell, as to a great love. I am ready to start my voyage to the Isle of Death. Paloma, my spirit, will fly, returning to the village to tell Linus and the other family members of life on Tuma. Even Mulukwausi, the flying witches, will tell of me. When you see the falling stars, you will know that they are on their way to the edge of the reef, where the waves break and where the witchcraft is passed on to a child. I am ready. I've passed on the old knowledge, even the To Ginuwayu sorcery, with which one sends the smoke of death under an enemy's hut. Looking back to help us find the way forward. That wisdom is his legacy. Very soon it will be Linus, son of the great Digimarina, who will lead Okaiboma into the new century. At some point in time, there will be progress in the village. Electricity, refrigerators, other machinery.
Before introducing electricity, you need to change the economy, but it is this change which will shift a lot of perception or impressions, the way people feel and see things in relation to their life and their members. So that means people will be geared more towards a cash economy.
Linus advises. He wants to open Okaiboma to the world over the horizon and offer what might interest the Western nations most. One of the most beautiful and unspoiled diving spots in the world. Developed carefully, with a few huts underneath the palms, run by the village and Dennis, the Englishman from Losuya, who has the money and the respect of the islanders. A small step towards big changes. Let us try the changes with the television people, he suggests. Everyone agrees. $20 a night, including food. That will mean money not only for the budget of the village, but also for the wood carvers.
Trobriand Islands, if I can say it quite correctly, are rather resilient in terms of changes. They would accept certain changes. They would take them as long as the changes go along the stride of the cultural rhythm. But as far as I can see, I think we can take certain changes at the same time, still retain our own ways and our cultures. And we are very proud people in that respect.